So we're about to start the presentation for today's class, and this is political philosophy. We are still in the subject fundamentals of philosophy and religion. And today we have a student presentation. A student will introduce herself and then tell us what she understands by this particular topic, political philosophy. Okay.
So, hi everyone. I'm going to talk about the political philosophy. My name is Chelsea Sudwe and I'm from Myanmar. And I'm going to talk about the political philosophy. So, what do you know about political philosophy? It is the study of the ideas about government, justice, and the role of individuals in society. It asks questions like what is the best way to organize a society? What rights and freedoms should people have? What should power be how should power be distributed? Essentially, it's about thinking deeply about how we should live together and make decisions all together. And there are key concepts in political philosophy. They are justice, liberty, equality, authority, democracy, rights, power, and social contract. For justice, we have to know about what is fair and right in the way people are treated and the way society is organized. For liberty, freedom of individual. Every individual have to make their own choices and live their life as they wish. Equality, the idea that everyone should have the same rights and opportunities. Authority, the power or right to make decision or enforce rule of the government. Democracy, it is a system of a government where people have a say in decision making, usually through voting, rights, fundamental freedoms and protections that individuals are entitled to, such as freedom of speech and right to privacy, which is included in um, uh, the rights of America. Sorry, what do you call that? The rules of America, and power, the ability to influence or control the behavior of others and the functioning of society, and social contract theory, the idea that the individual agrees to follow certain rules in exchange for protection and benefits from the government. So, if we are going to talk about political philosophy, we cannot forget to mention the famous philosophers and the ideas in this field. The first one is Plato. He was a key thinker who imagined an ideal society in his book, The Republic. He told us that wise rulers, called philosopher kings, should govern because they understand what is truly good. Plato believed that a society happens when everyone performs their proper role, helping to keep everything balanced and fair. His idea about leadership and justice still influence politics through today. And then second one is Aristotle. He was a Greek philosopher who wrote about different forms of governments in his book Politics. He believed that the best type of government depends on the community's needs and should balance the interests of the rich and the poor. Aristotle thought that a good government helps everyone and promotes everything in the society. His ideas on practical government and balance are still influential today. So I put a quote that he told in his age: "Be a free thinker and don't accept everything you hear as truth. Be critical and evaluate what you believe in." You have to think everything you've heard. They can be true or not true, so you have to think critically. And John Locke. He was an English philosopher whose ideas greatly influenced America. He believed people have natural rights to life, liberty, and property. He argued that governments should protect these rights and be chosen by the people. So I think he supported the democracy in his era. If a government fails to do this, people have the right to change it. His thoughts, his thoughts helped shape the Declaration of Independence and the principle of American democracy. For the conclusion, I expect to understand the basic ideas about how the societies should be organized and governed, such as justice, freedom, liberty, property, and equality. So we also have learned about major theories and how different philosophers think about the political philosophies in his eras. In their eras, the presentation would help us see how these concepts and thinkers have influenced modern political system and democratic practices. So we have a question to think under this topic for the audience. Like, how do the ideas of famous philosophers help us decide what makes a fair government? This is the question for the audience.
Okay, it's a question for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Wiki. How do the ideas of famous philosophers help us decide what makes a fair government? Do you have any clue? Any idea? How do the ideas of famous philosophers help us decide what makes a fair government? Maybe he doesn't have the idea. So do you have?
I
Can you
suggest
help us?
I suggest you want.
Okay.
I suggest you to answer this question.
For me to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, now before I answer it, can we go back to your presentation? Let me make some comments. First of all, this program is business administration in hotel and tourism management. So one may wonder what is the connection of studying business administration in hotel and tourism management, and what does it has to do with political philosophy? Of course, the expectation is that this is a general subject anyway, and this is elective subject. Students can choose this subject or another subject. But these particular students, they decided to learn something about fundamentals of philosophy and logic. So if you ask me, I would rather say that there is no program that wouldn't have anything to do with philosophy. Almost all programs supposed to. The same thing applicable to logic. Because you need philosophy in your business, you need philosophy in order to have to control your employees. You need the knowledge of philosophy and logic in your own human capital management and human resource management as well. And then you also need the knowledge of philosophy in order to make sure that your business is following the signs of time, is in a competitive environment that you are doing what you're supposed to do. And most importantly, in the hotel management, where many people come in and go, so philosophy and logic will be of great help, as most students have already presented. So, according to this student, your name is Susutui, right?
Yes.
Correct, from Myanmar. He said, what is political philosophy? According to her and her research, political philosophy is the study of ideas about government, study of ideas about justice, and the role of individuals in society. You see that? It asks questions like, what is the best way to organize a society? What rights and freedoms should people have? How should power be distributed? Essentially, is about thinking deeply about how we should live together and make decisions as a community. Correct. That is why we study this kind of a course, because you need to know the political environment you're establishing your business. You need to know the political environment the customers are coming and going out from. So here, the society, there's no business that is built on air. All businesses are here with us and in a society, in a given society, with given culture and with given environment. So that is what is trying to let us know political sensitivity of political environment in actually handling your business. Now, she went further to also talk about key concepts in political philosophy. Justice. If we don't have a just society, how can we establish a business? It's not possible. So here is, she said, what is fair and right in the way people are treated and the way society is organized? That is justice. So even in your business, not just only you will be is expected to treat people fairly and rightly, but the society also they're supposed to treat you. The community where you establish your business supposed to treat you fairly and rightly as well. Even the government itself should also try to make sure that there is a fair way and everybody is treated equally in order for the society to be functioning appropriately and in a right way. So justice is important. That is why we study this kind of course, to learn why justice is important. Think about liberty, the freedom individuals have to make their own choices and live their lives as they wish. Yeah, people are free so long as they have gotten to that age, of reasonable age. They are free to do whatever they want, provided they do it within the context of the rules and regulations, and then provided there is a just society. You do not force people, or you do not impose a particular style of life or a particular philosophy of life or a particular philosophy of religion. People should be free in a society. That is what he's saying here. That is why we should understand these key concepts. Then equality, the idea that everyone should have the same rights and opportunities. Yes, you treat everybody equally. You treat everybody in the same way. There is nothing like bias and there's nothing like discrimination. There will be no society where discriminatory policies are being implemented and that society will be very okay. No. So that is why equality is very important. And then authority, the power or right to make decisions and enforce rules within a society. Someone must be in charge. Even as you establish your business, as you finish your degree, and you want to establish a hotel business anywhere, you have to be in charge. There must be a manager, there must be a leader. And in that particular environment, there must be someone governing that vicinity as well. So that's why it's good to study all this, so that everybody will know his or her own right. Democracy, a system of government where people have a say in decision making, usually through voting. Yeah, it's important that even as a business man, a woman, you should know that in the environment you are residing, if you have the right to vote, then you should vote. And that voting must be free and fair and must be so that the leader will come out from there through this kind of democratic principles and exercises. Then the rights, fundamental freedoms and protection that individuals are entitled to, such as freedom of speech and the right to privacy. Yes, as you establish a business, of course, wherever the business should be, there should be a fundamental freedom and there should be protections. Individuals are entitled to whatever they want and they will be free. They shouldn't be acting like one in prison. And again, things about people should not be made known without their permission. You see, these are many other reasons why it's important to study philosophy and logic in a society. Then power, the ability to influence or control the behavior of others and the functioning of society. Here it talks about the fact that someone sometimes can influence certain decisions. We see that on daily basis anyway, whether in political front or in business front or in educational front or in a health front. In most sectors in any country, you see some people may have some influence and then they tend to use it, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. Then social contract. The idea that individuals agree to follow certain rules in exchange for protection and benefit from the government. Of course, all these are concepts in political philosophy in which social contract people decide that is it sufficient to mean a constitution. There's no country that will govern without a constitution. We agree to follow a particular pattern of lifestyle and a pattern of philosophy or culture or way of life. In most people, when you establish a business, of course, you should have a contract also, and that contract must be fair to you and to the employer. So that is why sometimes you connect all these things with the reason why we have to study the concepts in political philosophy in relation to the subject or the department we are studying. Then again, she went further to tell us about political philosophers and the ideas. According to her, if we are going to talk about this, we have to look at Plato. Plato, of course, we know, and from what she just presented, Plato was a key thinker who imagined an ideal society in his book, The Republic. He proposed that wise rulers, called philosopher kings, should govern because they understand what is truly good. Plato believed that a just society happens when everyone performs their proper role, helping to keep everything balanced and fair. His ideas about leadership and justice still influence political thought today. Of course, this is very correct. You have to know before you teach people how to know. And again, in a society, everybody must and should perform their proper duty and responsibility. Okay, then after Plato, then you meet Aristotle. Aristotle was a Greek thinker who wrote about different forms of government in his book, Politics. Aristotle believed that the best type of government depends on the community's needs and should balance the interests of the rich and poor. Aristotle taught that a good government helps everyone and promotes the common good. His ideas on practical government and balance are still influential today. So government is meant for the people and not for themselves, to share money, to embezzle money. And if it's for the people, then you might also create an enabling environment for business to flow. That is the position of Aristotle. Then John Locke, John Locke, look at what he said there. All mankind being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, and liberty or possession. Wonderful. So John Locke was an English philosopher whose ideas greatly influenced America. He believed people have natural rights to life, liberty, and property. Locke argued that government should protect these rights and be chosen by the people. If a government fails to do this, people have the right to change it. His thoughts helped shape Declaration of Independence and principles of American democracy. So for Locke, we should be free to elect a government. If the government is not working, you change the government. So students who study, irrespective of the faculty you are, should know all these political, philosophical ideas. Because whether we like it or not, we are from a society, and we're from a community, and we're from a nation ruled by either prime minister or president or a king. So that is why there's need for this kind of subject in this kind of department, because students should know you cannot graduate empty, just having nothing, because you should graduate like someone with something in his or her mind, in his or her brain. So having a first degree suggests knowing what you're supposed to know, including about political environment. So in conclusion, she tried to say, expecting to understand the basic ideas about how society should be organized and governed, such as justice, freedom, and equality. We would also learn about major theories and how different philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, John Locke contributed to these ideas. The presentation will help us to see how these concepts and thinkers have influenced modern political systems and democratic practices. But most importantly, the presentation enabled us, all the students, to understand all these uh, ideas. Okay, so the question to think under this topic for the audience, she said, how do the ideas of famous philosophers help us decide what makes a fair government? Of course, the answer is already, yeah. From what you presented, justice. We have to, justice is a situation where you treat everybody what you give what belongs to anybody and then treat people equally. And you made mention of democracy, all the key concepts you mentioned, that's how I will use to answer them. And that is for me the answer to your question. So, Wiki, what have you to ask? Because I have to ask her a question.
Ask question on this one.
No, you can answer any question you want.
Ask question.
Ask a question of the presentation. So before Wiki, how can you connect this political philosophy with this degree, business administration in hotel and tourism management? What is the connection? Why should you have to learn that?
I think we should learn about the political philosophy or any kind of philosophy for business administration, like BBA subjects, in BBA subjects, because you have to think everything critically, because you should not uh, listen to everything what everyone said. You have to think critically, which we call philosophy. So I think we have to learn, and also about the for the political philosophy, um, everything is connected to the political when it comes to the business. So you have to be careful of what is happening around your area or what is happening in your about the government. Um, it is connected to the business. Um, yeah, I think so. I think.
Okay, so Wiki, any questions for her?
What is difference between justice and democracy?
Justice and democracy.
What is the difference?
Justice and democracy, because it's like
What is the difference between justice and
democracy.
democracy?
So
Okay.
it's the same, like the same way. So
Okay. What is the
what
difference
do you
between democracy and justice?
I think for me, democracy is a kind of justice that is like a branch from justice. It's about being hard. It's about being have the right to choose freely by voting system.
Then what is the justice?
Justice, it's a rule, or um, justice is a rule that everyone should follow, and everyone mm, can. It is about what is fair and right in the way people are treated and the way society is organized. And yeah, I think it answers that question.
Okay. Justice is what is fair and right in the way people are treated and the way society is organized. Giving to Wiki what belongs to Wiki, I cannot take what belongs to you and give to Paul. I mean, so, yeah, but democracy is just a type of government, the system of government that people elected through voting. Okay, so any other question? Do you have any question for her? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
presentation. Okay, so we continue with Mr. Wiki by nickname, but what is that? How do you pronounce the name? Kantian San. So can you introduce yourself and then continue? Here we talk about philosophy of mind. Wonderful. Okay, go ahead.
Today we're going to talk about the philosophy of mind. And my name is Canadian, and I'm from Myanmar. Uh, what is the philosophy of mind? The philosophy of mind explore a fundamental question about the nature of consi- uh, cons- consistence and the relationship between the mind and the body and the nature of mental states. And the historical overview, the philosophy of mind has essence roots tracking back to philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. In the modern era, figures such as Rene discussed with his dualism. Understanding this historical content provide insight into current decision and theory, discussion and theory. Also, dualism, mind, body, separation, separation. Dualism is introduced by Rene Discord suggests that the mind and body are two separate things. The mind is physical and handle thoughts and feelings, while the body is physical and follow natural laws. This theory raises questions about how mental and physical state interact, known as the mind-body problem. And the mind as the brain, uh, physical, physicalism or materialism says that everything about the mind can be explained by what's happened in the brain, and it means that thoughts and feelings are just brain activities. Unlike dualism, which separates the mind from the body, uh, physicalism believes there is no non-physical part of the mind. Everything is purely physical and connected to brain function. A mental state of function. Uh, Physicalism says that what matter about mental state is what what they do and not what they are made of. For example, it's focused on how thoughts and feelings work in a system. This means that theoretically, anything that performs the same function as a mind, like a computer, could have a mind too. The idea that machine or artificial system could potentially have mind if they perform the same function as a human mind is closely associated with uh, Hillary, Hillary Pluton and Jerry Fodor, who were key proponents of fashionism. Also, artificial intelligence and the mind, the development of artificial intelligence raises question about whether machine can process mental state or consequence, consequences. Uh, this philosophical decision consists of whether AI can generally think or feel, and if so, what moral, ethical implication that this might have. The challenge lies in understanding the nature of consequences in both biological and artificial systems. In a conclusion, the psychology of mind remains a vibrant field with ongoing debate about the nature of consequences, identity, and the mind-body relationship. As neuroscience and AI continues to advance, physi- uh, phys- physiological phy- physiological inquiry will adapt, challenging our understanding of what it means to be conscious and to have a mind. Uh, thank, thank you.
Okay, so go. Let us revisit your presentation. Okay, so Mr. Wiki is telling us about the philosophy of mind. Philosophy of mind, according to his own research, explores fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness, the relationship between the mind and the body, and the nature of mental states. Of course, we should and must understand about our consciousness, be aware of our consciousness, be aware of who we are, and be aware of the nature of our mental states. Of course, when you're establishing a business, all these are very, very important and they are connected with our way of life and the way we live in a society. So that is why we study it. That's why students go through it. That's what these students chose to learn one or two things about philosophy of mind in this particular subject. Then again, historically, these students try to tell us that the philosophy of mind has ancient roots, tracing back to philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, we just finished a few moments ago. In the modern era, figures such as Rene Descartes with his dualism, understanding his historical context provides insight into current discussions and theories. So now, dualism, mind, body separation. Of course, every society, every community, every culture, every country must have gotten our own belief system. In African traditional religion, we can say much more about mind and body. We can distinguish them. We can also unite them depending on our cultural belief. And I'm sure this then applies to Myanmar and most people in Asia and even in the West. But here we are dealing about the understanding of it according to the Western philosophy. Dualism is introduced by Rene Descartes, suggests that the mind and body are two separate things. Yeah, for him, they are not the same. The mind is non physical and handles thoughts and feelings, while the body is physical and follows natural laws. So for Rene Descartes, then you kind of have to separate the mind. What because you don't see the mind, you cannot touch the mind. But then physical body is what we are living with and staying with, and that follows all the laws that are given. This theory raises questions about how mental and physical states interact, known as mind and body problems. Of course, if we talk about it today, we will not live here. But the most important thing is that as human beings, we must be examining all these things. That is the point. We cannot be taking them for granted. So, physicalism, the mind as the brain. Physicalism or materialism says that everything about mind can be explained but by what is happening in the brain. Of course, psychologists will tell you that. It means that thoughts and feelings are just brain activities. Sure, of course. Unlike dualism, such which separates the mind from the body, physicalism believes there is no non-physical part of the mind. Everything is purely physical and connected to brain function. You see, in Africa, I mean, most African philosophers will be arguing about it and separate the two. In Asia, most Asian philosophers will also separate the two depending on the school of philosophy. But currently, we are learning about the Western conception about that. So you see, there is no physical, according to physicalism, there is no separation. Whatever happens on the brain is what we now bring out in our physical reality. Okay, so functionalism, mental states as functions. So functionalism says that what matters about mental states is what they do, not what they are made up of. Function, remember. For example, it focuses on how thoughts and feelings work in a system, action oriented. This means that theoretically, anything that performs same function as a mind, like a computer, could have a mind too. So, do you agree, computer? Does computer have mind? Laptop, even the currently, I'm talking about AI. Does it have mind? You don't tell us what do you think? Do you think laptop, computer, they have mind?
Uh, I don't think so because it was programmed by human to act like it.
Wow,
Yeah.
wonderful. Good. What do you have to say?
I think this is a controversial title to answer. Um, they don't have a mind like a human for now, but I think maybe in the future they have a mind.
In the future, they will start having mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, just as you say, so it is programmed by a human being to act the way they are acting. Okay. The idea that machines or artificial systems could potentially have minds if they perform the same function as human mind is closely associated with Hilary Putnam and Jerry Fodor, who were key proponents of functionalism. In other words, anything that functions works. Artificial intelligence and the mind, you see, AI. The development of artificial intelligence raises questions about whether machines can possess mental states or consciousness. Philosophical discussions consider whether AI can generally think or feel, and if so, what moral and ethical implications this might have. The challenge lies in understanding the nature of consciousness in both biological and artificial systems. So AI, every time you ask it something, and it will give you the answer. So even the answer that you that has the mind could not produce, it will produce it. So how can we see that?
Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, because in the mind, even when you are thinking in the mind, but you ask AI and AI answers you. So why do we say it doesn't have mind?
I think it's about it's it is connected to the dualism maybe because they don't have the body, they don't have the brain, and so we regard it as they can't genuinely think or feel.
But if you ask it question, it gives you answer. Try it now this way.
Yeah, because
Tell me who is Susu. Then
yes, they can answer the questions by how people feel because people put the systems in it, like how they think about that one problem.
wow. What do you think? So
Yeah, like she said, AI they give the answer based on the information that we program in them. We put in them.
so
Yeah.
we put our mind in there and
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't know.
What do you think? AI, does it have mind?
Yes. I think they create like uh, everything the people the post online or on Google, and they and then and then after we ask AI, they analyze everything they know about at the online online network, and they analyze and they answer like the short answer, like how can I say, the conclusion, the answer back like conclusion, or sometimes they answer so long.
Okay, I see. Okay, so AI doesn't have mind, is the as you guys have suggested. Okay, let's keep moving. I think Lauren said that maybe in the future it will start having mind. Okay, conclusion. The philosophy of mind remains a vibrant field with ongoing debates about nature of consciousness, identity, and mind-body relationship. As neuroscience and AI continue to advance, philosophical inquiries will adapt, challenging our understanding of what it means to be conscious and to have a mind. Okay, so that is the presentation today. Do you have reference? No reference. So any questions for him? Oh, okay. Any question for him? Philosophy of mind. Okay, in absence of any question, we thank you for your presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Okay, so now we continue with the presentation. Today we are going to continue as two students have presented. Now we are going to listen to So do her own presentation on logic in philosophy. Okay, continue.
Hello, my name is Soyu Dratra. Today I'm going to talk about logic in philosophy. These are the content I'm going to talk about. First one is Introduction to Logic. To define logic is a branch of philosophy that deals with the study of argument. It's like a system to study the value reasoning and the argumentation. It is also an instrument for constructing and rational arguments and evaluating the arguments of others. The importance of logic. The purpose of logic is like to distinguish the good arguments from bad ones, and to increase the confidence in reasoning and argumentation skill. It the importance is and is also like ability to foster the critical thinking and clear the communication. Like by understanding the logical principle, individual can evaluate the argument more effectively. Next one is the key concept in logic. Argument. First one is argument. Argument is the group of statement where one suppose another. Like first one is the premise and the other one is the conclusion. Premise is the statement providing the evidence for believing the conclusion. And the conclusion is the statement claimed to follow from the premise. Argument is like a valid argument means that if the premise are true, the conclusion also must be true. And then we talk about types of argument. Arguments are like deductive arguments. It is like conclusion follow necessarily from the premise. And the inductive arguments is like conclusion follow possibility from the premise. Typical arguments are like aim for like certainly. If the premise is true, the conclusion must be true. Inductive arguments involve drawing like general conclusion from the specific observation. And then next one is the evaluating argument. To evaluate the argument, you need for the criteria of evaluation, deductive arguments for like it is like valid or invalid, sound or unsound, And then for interdict argument, you have to see like, is it strong or is it weak, or is it congruent or incongruent. So and the next one is like major field of philosophy related to logic. These are some of the field that is like related to logic. The first one is metaphysics, which my friends talk about like from the last presentation. It is about study of existence and reality. Metaphysics is like a branch that explores the fundamentalism of reality, including the concept such as like being, such as like a being or existence and the universe. It seeks to answer questions about what exists and the nature of those existence. And next one is epistemology. It is like the study of knowledge and belief. It is like its study concerned with the knowledge, its nature, sources, limitation, and the validity. It addressed the questions such as like what is knowledge, and then how do we acquire it, and what we justify our belief. And the next one is axiology. It's like the study of values and ethics. Last week, my friend talked about ethics, and it's also including axiology. It's like a branch of philosophy that study like values and good or bad, and the ethic, what actions are right or wrong. Like it encompasses the several keys area. Um, the next one is the conclusion. Logic is like the essential for critical thinking and philosophical inquiry. It provides tools for analyzing arguments and understanding the complex ideas. Yeah, these are the reference. Thank you.
Okay, so that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Let's get back to your presentation. So, logic, introduction to logic. So, definition of logic. It is a branch of philosophy that deals with the study of arguments. Arguments are studied so that you distinguish it. You distinguish between valid argument and invalid argument. It is not all arguments are logical. So, that is why it's important to study logic. Let's say, for instance, we give an example the day we were teaching this class. You say that all Thai ladies are very bad. Wanida is a Thai lady, therefore Wanida is very bad. How can you say that? It's an argument, but that argument is very, very, very wrong and invalid. Because you cannot say that, you cannot, is a fallacy. You know what is fallacy? Flaw, mistake in reasoning. So you cannot say that all Thai ladies are bad. It's not possible. It's a hasty generalization. Because how many Thai ladies have you met? There are so many of them. Or maybe all Thai males are bad. No, you cannot say that. Or you can say that all Nigerians are bad. Come on. How many Nigerians have you met? There are many of them. With everybody most people come from different families, different background, different upbringing. Some are good, and some are not so good, and some are very bad. So, but you cannot generalize. All Myanmar people are tall. How can you say? Is it because so is tall? Then you say that all Myanmar ladies are tall? No. So that is why we study logic. It's a branch of philosophy that deals with the study of arguments, an instrument for constructing rational arguments and evaluating the arguments of others. Correct. When you study logic, you'll be able to think logical. You'll be able to know when people are making valid argument and when people are making sound argument and when people are thinking correctly. That is the essence of studying logic because it gives you the tool. For example, all men must die. Wiki is a man, therefore Wiki must die. Is this correct? All men must die. Wiki is a man, therefore Wiki must die. This is, why is it correct argument? Why is it sound? Why is the argument sound?
Uh, men, mean all men are die.
Correct, because we all must die.
Yes. Also,
Every human being must die. Yeah.
Not all men.
Yeah. Every human being must die. So I am human being, therefore I must die. That is why it's a very, very acceptable, sound, and correct argument. You get that? Okay, now, the purpose of studying logic, to distinguish good arguments from bad ones, correct. To increase confidence in reasoning and argumentation skills, correct. Very, very important that we study logic. Okay, key concepts in logic, argument, a group of statements where one premise supports another conclusion. All men must die. Wiki is a man, therefore Wiki must die. That is correct because the first one is that all men. As a matter of fact, all human beings must die, and then men, they are part of human beings. Therefore, they are all going to die. And Wiki is a man, therefore he should also die. So that is why the first premise is very, very important. However, if the first premise is wrong, sometimes conclusion might be wrong. And sometimes first premise might be right, but conclusion might be invalid, depending on the argument. So a group of statements where one premise supports the another. That is what we call argument. Premise. Premise, the statement providing evidence for believing the conclusion. Yes, premise is the first statement we make, which will now give conclusion. Then conclusion is statement we claim to follow from the premises. So when you make the first premise, second premise, then conclusion. Do you have any example of a logic? Can you think of any?
I have one.
Yeah.
The argument is like, if it's rain, the ground will be wet. The first premise is it is raining, and the conclusion, the ground is wet.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. First premise is that if it rains, yeah, definitely the ground must be wet. Okay. Do you have another example? Lauren, do you have another example? Okay.
The food has gone because you ate it. So the premise is like it is because you ate it. The conclusion will be the food has gone.
You like eating. Okay, so that is it. Types of arguments. We have deductive arguments, conclusion follow necessary from premise. Inductive argument, conclusions follow probabilistically from premises. Okay, now who can give us an example of deductive argument? Do you have anyone? From general to specific. Anyone with example? Deductive argument means from general.
Deductive argument is like the last one I told about, the rain. If it's rain, ground will be wet. And then if it's like the one you said, like all Thai ladies are bad, you draw conclusion from the like possibility.
Yeah, correct. Deductive is when you from general.
Yeah.
Another example I gave is that all men must die. Wiki is a man, therefore Wiki must die. So I started from general. All men. That is deductive from general. There are so many examples about it. Inductive is Wiki is a man. All men must die. Just started from Wiki as a single person. Then now you use it to make a conclusion. But then if you start with the general one, all men must die. That is deductive argument. From general to specific. And inductive is from specific to general. I don't know whether you understand that. For example, all Nigerian students are intelligent. Emmanuel is a Nigerian student, therefore Emmanuel is intelligent. Is it deductive or inductive?
Inductive.
Huh?
Inductive.
Is it, get what I'm saying now? Let me not say all because I wouldn't like us to begin to argue whether it's a sound argument. Or many Nigerian students are intelligent. Then Emmanuel is a Nigerian student. Therefore, Emmanuel is intelligent. Is it deductive or inductive?
Many Nigerians are instituted and
Deductive is deductive because you're coming from many Nigerian students. They are now ending it with one person. Many Myanmar students are smart. Many Nigerian Myanmar students are smart. So is a Myanmar student. Therefore, so is smart. Is that deductive or inductive?
Deductive.
Huh? Huh?
Deductive.
Deductive. Yes, because they're coming from general. I'm just using these weak examples to get you to understand that deductive argument. Inductive arguments start from specific person. Okay. Evaluating argument, criteria for evaluation. Deductive, valid, invalid, sound, or not sound. Yes. Because when you say all, you have to be very careful when you say all because you can say all men, all mortal must die, and then Wiki is a mortal, therefore Wiki must die. You see, that is deductive and it's very sound. Understand? But then how about when you say all Myanmar students are intelligent? Wiki is a Myanmar student, therefore Wiki is intelligent. It sounds, it looks like a sound argument, but how can you say all Myanmar students? Where did you see all of them? How can you give us and prove to us that all of them are intelligent? You see, that's where you may have problem with invalidity, or the argument is unsound because you use the word all. In most cases, most philosophers will not agree with that. Most scholars will not agree with that. Some may begin to argue about it. So inductive, strong, weak, cogent, and uncogent. Yes, that is the beginning from a strong person. Wiki is intelligent because Myanmar students are intelligent. So you are starting with Wiki to Myanmar students, even though you may begin to wonder in terms of conclusion, the first premise, which is inductive, that Wiki is intelligent, may be correct. But the conclusion, which now say that because he's from Myanmar, our Myanmar students are intelligent, we may be having issue with that because we have not met all Myanmar students. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
Okay. So major fields of philosophy related to logic, and that is metaphysics, study of existence and reality, epistemology, study of knowledge and belief, axiology, study of values and ethics. Conclusion. Logic is essential for critical thinking and philosophical inquiry. It provides tools for analyzing arguments and understanding complex ideas. Very good. So any question for about logic? Do you have reference?
Yeah.
Okay. Any question for her?
How do you connect the logic and critical thinking?
Sorry.
How can you connect logic? How can you connect logic and critical thinking?
Uh, I think critical thinking is the criteria which need like logic. It is when you are thinking, you have to think uh, systemically, which is like a logical way.
Do you get the answer? Okay, so thank you very much. And then I know that it's very important to actually think logically, and it's very important to study logic in everything that we do because we enable us to solve societal problems. They enable us to solve problems when two people are fighting. You look at their logic and then examine it and be able to offer a solution in to their problems. So thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate your time and space.
Thank you.